One of the greatest delusions we experience as human beings is the belief that we are powerless. Have you ever felt powerless? Like circumstances outside of you were controlling your life? Like you didn't have the confidence, the knowledge, or the ability to create the change or the experience you truly wanted? But the truth is, you can never be powerless. The very experience of feeling powerless is actually proof of your power, because you cannot create the experience of powerless without using your power. You are using your consciousness to create every experience you're having in this moment. If you feel a lack of confidence, you're using your power to explore the experience of lacking confidence. In other words, you're confident in your ability to experience what it feels like to lack confidence. If you experience a lack of abundance in any form, you're using your power to explore the state of lack. If you experience procrastination or indecisiveness, it's because you've made a choice to use your power to experience that state, because that's how powerful you are. You can create circumstances that make you feel out of control, but you're still the one creating the experience of feeling out of control. The question has never been whether you are powerful. The question is, how am I choosing to use the power that's always been there? And this also applies to the experience of disconnection. When we feel disconnected from our power, from others, or from source consciousness itself, from God, it's not because the connection has disappeared. We're simply using our connection to source consciousness to create the experience of feeling disconnected. But that's not actually possible. If you were not connected, you wouldn't exist. And because you're always connected to the greater field of source consciousness, you always, in every moment, have access to all that you need. Whatever is relevant for you to know, whatever is important for your journey, is always available to you. The only thing that can interfere with that flow is the belief that you're separate from it. The belief that the knowledge, the information, or the guidance you need is disconnected from you. But that separation is not actually possible, because your connection to source consciousness is not something you have to create. It's something that exists by the very nature of your being. The understanding that you will always know what you need to know is enough to open yourself to that knowing. And this is where two different yet profound teachings mirror the same fundamental truth. Ramtha gives us the statement, "I now know all there is to know in this moment." Bashar gives us the statement, "I now know what I need to know when I need to know it." These two teachings are complementary expressions of the same understanding. Ramtha's perspective reminds us of the infinite potential of all knowledge available within the present moment, that all knowledge already exists within consciousness. Bashar's perspective reminds us that this knowledge unfolds according to the timing and relevance of our individual journey. And Seth provides the foundation with the statement, "The present is the point of power." Because the present moment is where everything exists, the point from which everything emerges. It's where awareness exists, where choice exists. It's where creation happens. These teachings invite us to completely surrender and trust in the now moment, the recognition that everything you need to know is available to you, not because you've accumulated enough knowledge, but because you're already connected to the field from which all knowledge emerges. I go into much greater detail on the words I now know and their power in another video. Link is in the description. In any given moment, you have access to the totality of knowledge that exists because source consciousness isn't limited by linear time or space. Nothing is ever beyond your intelligence or your capacity to know. It may simply not be relevant for you to perceive it in this moment because it doesn't serve your current path of experience. Asking to know something is not asking for something that you don't already have access to. It's simply allowing yourself to become receptive to something that already exists, but that you can't yet perceive because you're not yet the vibration of it. And this is why enlightenment is not about accumulating more and more knowledge over time. It's about awakening to the knowledge that's already present within the present moment. But this understanding also reveals something else. The present moment is not simply where we access knowledge. It's the point from which we create our entire experience. The power of the present moment comes from the recognition that all knowledge is available now, not in the future or the past. There's only one place, here. There's only one time, now. Everything you experience exists within this moment. You can only ever exist in the here and now. You can't be in the then, the yesterday, or the tomorrow. This understanding creates a balance between being fully present to the fullness of the now moment, while also trusting in the timing of your unfolding journey. The reason Seth states that the present is the point of power is because there's no place or time that's more important. There is nowhere more important than the present moment, because that is the point from which everything emerges. It is always the point where you define who you are and who you choose to become. Incidentally, I always smile when I hear someone say the term, now then. It's such a paradoxical thing to say. Every single moment is a new place you've never been before, and it's from that place that you define and redefine yourself. You're always choosing the version of yourself that you're bringing forward into this moment. If a past trauma continues to affect you, it's because some part of you is still relating to yourself through the perspective of that experience. And there's a reason for that. Somewhere within that experience is information, a lesson, or a perspective that you haven't yet fully integrated. If it did not serve some purpose within your journey, you'd no longer need to hold on to it. The things we experience that we don't prefer typically remain because they're offering something to teach us. When we discount them, invalidate them, or simply wish they would disappear, we simply reinforce their presence. But when we allow ourselves to discover the knowledge and wisdom they contain and open ourselves to what the experience has to offer, the experience has fulfilled its purpose and it'll naturally transform. Most of the difficulties we experience in life are not a reflection of human nature itself, but rather of human learning that perpetuates the belief in patterns of distortion. These patterns then define our perceptions and interpretations so that we continue to recreate the same states of being. If you are recreating a state of mind based on something from the past, it's because on some level you're choosing to. You're continually redefining both yourself and your reality. So use this moment to define who you choose to be and become that. From moment to moment, you're never the same person twice because it's a new moment and you're a new person. As the Zen saying goes, you can't step into the same river twice. If you don't want to recreate the energy of the past, or use the energy of the past to propel yourself forward, then make the conscious choice to break that continuity. You can choose to continue immersing yourself in that energy, that vibrational state, or you can disengage from it and choose a different state that you prefer. Nothing prevents you from doing so except the belief that you can't. And so, let's start from the present moment by understanding what it's actually telling you. Whatever you are right now is the perfect version of you. You can't be more perfect than the version of yourself that you're choosing to express in this moment. Whether you prefer it or not, whether you like it or wish it were completely different, that version is perfect for what it is. If you're unhappy, then you're experiencing your perfect version of what it feels like to be unhappy. If you're broke, then you're experiencing the perfect version of yourself that is in the state of being broke. You're always, in every moment, the perfect version of who you are. Everything is an expression of consciousness. Every expression, whether positive or negative, whether you prefer it or definitely don't, is still an expression of consciousness, and therefore, in its own way, it cannot be anything less than perfect. If you feel like there's something wrong with you, that you're unworthy, or that you have no control over your life circumstances, it's because you've chosen to create the experience of feeling that lack of worthiness, that lack of control. Believing that you are powerless is simply your way of saying that in this particular moment, you don't remember that from a higher perspective, you are the creator of your reality. Your higher self, source consciousness, loves you unconditionally and supports you in whatever you choose. If you're exploring negative beliefs and challenging situations, it will fully support you and reinforce that experience, providing more of the same for you to explore. Because it loves and supports you unconditionally in your power as a timeless, immortal, infinite being to choose. You can never fail. There's no such thing. Every experience is useful information, and what some call failure is simply discovering a path that doesn't work for you, and so it's a success. Whenever you experience a negative state of being, it's because on some level you've chosen to match the vibration of that state. When you form attachments to people and situations that reflect the energy of separation, diminishment, and fear, it's showing you that you're holding on to a belief that allows you to match the vibration of that person, circumstance, or situation that resonates at that lower vibrational state. Your attachment to it serves an important purpose. It's a messenger bringing to your attention that you're out of alignment. By spending some time exploring what the experience is teaching you, you'll no longer feel the need to resonate at that lower vibrational state. And so, what does all this mean? It means this. It begins with living in the now moment, not the past and not the future, but the now. It begins with recognizing yourself as an expression of consciousness and knowing that you are perfect because you cannot be anything less. And it begins with being perfectly, authentically you. Not wishing you were someone else, not trying to become someone else, not giving your power away to someone else. Because when you're not being yourself, the energy of self-expression builds up and has nowhere to flow. And when energy becomes stagnant, it begins to express itself through the physical body, through excess weight, through tension, through dis-ease. But the more you allow yourself to flow that energy, living authentically as the beautiful and perfect being that you are, the more that energy is free to move, to transform and express itself in the way it was always meant to. The excess weight dissolves, the tension releases, the body is restored to a state of balance. Because the fundamental truth is this: you have never been broken. You were never missing anything. You are always a perfect expression of source consciousness. And with that, we'll bring this to a close. Thank you for joining me. Questions or comments are always welcome. I read them all. And I've also left a question in the pinned comment for any insights that you would like to offer. If you like the sharing and you'd like to hear more, hit the like button to tell me that you're inspired by my teachings. And for more insights, tap the notification bell to be notified when new videos are released. Thank you so much for listening and for being part of this beautiful community where we explore the present moment as the true point of power. Superhuman made simple with the architect.